There is no greater joy than knowing that there's someone somewhere who truly cares about you so much to start looking for solutions to your problems. I'm so excited because this is the moment that permits us talk you. We talk about your problems, we analyze your problems, and we find solutions to your problems. I'm excited. It's the second edition of Letters to Mama Z on Ablaze TV. I want you to sit tight and get ready to listen and learn. Pick out solutions to your own problems as we read out and treat the story of today. Remember, we are always here looking at solutions to problems by analyzing people's situations. Those traumatic things people go through, the chaotic experiences of life, and we find solutions to them. From there, you can be able to pick out a solution to your problem. Trust me on that. I'd just like you to listen to this small piece from me because it's kind of laying the foundation to you understanding that there's a possible solution to your problem on this program, Letters to Mama Z. All is not lost. When you're down, all is not lost. As long as you still breathe, all is not lost. When you're down, all is not lost. As long as your source is on your side. We have another story today for you, and this story is going to permit us to think broadly and to be able to look at some questions that are going through our minds daily. And it's going to touch a variety of situations that people do go through but do not have the courage to say it out, or someone probably to look at these situations and help them with counsel. The story of today will help us handle those questions at the back of your mind. We are going to get to that story immediately after this short break.
Lord, your power inside of me makes me stand aside, makes me be the difference wherever I go. I overcome by your power in me. Oh, Jesus lives inside of me. I overcome by your power in me. Jesus lives inside of me.
Very beautiful song of hope from Maureen Forber. I'm excited you did watch that song, and I'm sure you listened to the meaning. It tells you how much you can overcome by the power that's in you, and this power is there because Jesus Christ lives in you. So if you've not yet made Jesus Christ your Lord and your Savior, or you've not given him the opportunity to be in you so you can be able to sort out the issues you are going through by the power he has, then it's time for you to also start thinking about that as the program continues. Please do help me share this live video with someone. Invite some friends to join us as we get straight to the story of the day. It says, I'm a preacher's kid or a pastor's kid. I got pregnant out of wedlock. My parents pushed me out of home and I moved into the house of the boy. He's not paying my bride price. I've recognized my error, recommitted myself to Christ, and so I no longer want to live with the boy. I've gone back to our house, and my parents, especially my father, doesn't want to see my child. They are ready to take me back home alone without the child with me. But the child is barely 2 years old and I can't leave him with the father who is hardly around, traveling all over the world or traveling all over with his boss since he's the driver of his boss. What do? I take that story again. I am a PK, a pastor's kid. I got pregnant out of wedlock. My parents pushed me out of the house and I moved into the house of the boy. He is not paying my bride price, and I've recognized my error, recommitted myself to Christ, and so I no longer want to live with the boy. I've gone back to our house, and my parents, especially my father, doesn't want to see my child. They are ready to take me back home alone without the child with me. But the child is barely 2 years old, and I can't leave him with the father who is hardly around. He travels all over with his boss since he is a driver. So she's asking us today, you and I, what do I do? I hope you got the story. I would like to get your opinions on this. Remember, I always say that every human being has one or two things that we can all learn to make our lives better. So I need your opinions on this. You need to say something about the story. Advise this lady, if you were to be in this situation, to cancel her. What will you tell her to do in such a situation? She recognizes that she got pregnant out of wedlock and it is something that's bad, and she was pushed out of the house by her parents that were very angry with her. Remember that the father is a pastor, and it's a shameful thing. Pastors will always they'll always consider such situations to be very shameful to them, and truly it is a shameful thing. But there's always that need for us to look at solutions to problems when they come. You cannot solve a problem by creating another problem. How do we solve a problem like this as it has come up? So you tell us what you think about it, and please do not forget to keep sharing until it gets to hundreds and thousands of people who would definitely benefit from this program. I talked with a few people and they gave me their own thoughts about this. While I'm reading that out, make sure you give your own contributions at the comment section as to what this lady is supposed to do. She's back home. Her parents have received her, but the father in particular doesn't want to see the child. And the child is just 2 years old. She can't take this child back to the father because the father is always traveling. And how is this child supposed to live with the father if the father is hardly home? And what is she supposed to do in this situation that her father or all her parents have accepted her, but her father doesn't want to see the child? The child is already there, and she's already the child is already a part of her life. Now, how is she supposed to live in that same home where her child is not accepted, but she's accepted? And she doesn't want to continue living with the guy because he's not ready to pay her bride price as well. What can she do in such a situation? Let's listen to what Madonna Siali said. In her own opinion, she thinks that this lady can go rent and stay with the child, work hard and take care of the child and herself, and let the child's father take responsibility for the child. And with time, her parents will come around. I take that again. That's Madonna Siali's opinion. She should go and rent a house and stay with the child, work hard and take care of the child and herself. Then let the child's father take responsibility for the child, and she should give her parents time to totally heal, because they will definitely heal with time. That's what Madonna Siali thinks could be the solution to this situation. What about you? What do you think? What do you think should be done in such a situation? Okay, let's listen to another one. It's another interesting contribution that comes in from Akubai. She says, hello sister, we are all frail as humans, and sometimes in our frailty we fall. However, rising up is guaranteed for the righteous, and thank God you have realized your mistakes and chosen to recommit yourself to Christ. I say well done to you on that, while hoping you have learned your lessons and will not go back to your vomit. She continues that now regarding your child, I would like to ask you these questions. 1, what is the father of the child saying in all of this? 2, why is your father rejecting your child? What does he want? 3, how is your attitude at home? Are you in a posture of anger and rebellion, or in a situation or in a posture of brokenness? And she says answers to the above questions will permit us to give a solid counsel on this situation. Nevertheless, I will say the hearts of kings are in the hands of the Lord. I love this. The hearts of kings are in the hands of the Lord, and he turns them in the direction he pleases. So take it to the Lord in prayers, and his purpose will stand. Remember, God resists the proud but gives grace to the humble, and soft words turn off wrath. I'm sending my love to you and stay blessed. That is from Akubai. That's an interesting one, because of a truth, there are a lot of questions to ask. At first, your parents sent you out of the house because you were pregnant, and they were very angry. It was a shameful situation to them, especially considering the fact that your father is a pastor and his children are supposed to be examples to others. The situation looked so shameful to them that they didn't want to see you at home, and you were sent off the house. Okay, it's taken you some 2 years for your parents to be able to receive you back into their lives, back into the family, and they now feel like, okay, my daughter truly must have recognized the fact that she made a mistake, and over the years she must have learned her lessons, and she's ready to rebuild her life. She's ready to take her life from scratch and build it again. Well, but in this situation, a child is already involved, and there's just no way we can say this lady should abandon her child to be able to have the love of her parents again. It's a very, very complex situation. And just like Akubai asked, the first question is that why does your father not want to see your child? You need to find out that exactly what is wrong. What is really making your father not to want your child? He wants you back, and you already have a child. He already knows you've made that mistake, and you have recognized the fact that it was a mistake. You've recommitted your life back to Christ. You are ready to rebuild. So why doesn't he want to see the child? If you are able to find out that particular reason, it will be easy for somebody to tell you exactly what to do in such a situation. The second question she asked was that, what is the father of the child saying about this whole situation? Is the father of the child even ready to marry you? Just like you say, he's not paying your bride price, so you don't want to stay with him. Secondly, is the father of the child ready to take responsibility of the child and you, even out of his own home? These are things you should look at. You should be able to understand these things to know how to handle such a situation, or for someone to be able to counsel you rightly on that. They should be able to know what the boy in question or what the man in question is even thinking about you and the child. If he's ready to take responsibility, that's another side of it altogether. It can be that you go with the option of Madonna Siali, who says you rent. He could decide to rent out the house for you and the baby to stay there until he's able to pay your bride price, if he is even interested in paying your bride price in the first place. This situation is very complex, because the lady says the man doesn't want to pay her bride price, but we've not understood, or we've not even heard from her whether this man is ready to do so in future. or it is that he lacks, or it's that he doesn't even want to have her in his life in the first place. These are questions we need to ask to be able to handle the situation rightly. Another question Akubai asked is, how is your attitude at home? Very, very important. You could still have recognized your mistake, and you've given your life to Christ, or you've recommitted your life back to Christ, but the life in itself is not yet reflecting that you've changed. I always like to go back to this scripture, 2 Chronicles 7:14. If my people who are called by my name shall humble themselves and pray and seek my face, and the other part is turn away from their wicked ways, because this is similar to the situation mankind is going through, and is expecting God to bypass the evil that we do, our wickedness we have chosen to embrace for life, and heal our lives or heal our land. That is practically impossible. Let me take for example, if you hurt me so bad and you come back to me and you tell me you're sorry and I forgive you, the next time you do the same thing and you come back to me, I say I'm sorry, and you say you are sorry, I still forgive you, you go back and you still do the same thing, will that be an indication that you really have changed? You recognize that you've made a mistake and you have really changed? Will that be any indication of change? If it is not, then the next time you come to me, I will think you are coming to joke with me. You are coming to make a fool out of me again. So I will send you away definitely. So it's very, very important for you, my friend, this lady in question. You need to check your attitude. What is it you are doing that probably could be reminding your father of how you were behaving before you got pregnant and he sent you out of the house? That's why Akubai is asking that very crucial question. Are you now broken enough? Are you living like someone who truly has changed, or you just made a statement of change rather than having the expression of the life of change itself? Have you truly proven to your father or your parents that you've changed? Well, that is from Akubai. These questions, she believes that if the lady is able to answer, it will be easy for us to give her the right counsel. Well, I have a couple of questions that I would also like us to look at while we are watching, while we are commenting and giving our various opinions on this situation. I also have some issues that I would like us to look at. Remember that we are not here to actually attack someone. We are here to analyze the situation in general and make sure that the various parties in the story they have an insight on what they should have done or what they should be able to do in this kind of situation should it come up again the next time. Or if the people who are going through the situations we analyze every edition of the program, if they are watching us, they should be able to apply what we contribute to their situations, and there will be a solution to it. So I have some issues that I would like us to look at as concerns my own counsel in this situation. The first thing I see in the story is the failure in parenting. There is a failure in parenting because if these parents were able to train this child in a way that she should go, then she wouldn't have gone away from that right foundation. That is the first. I'm not saying that there are parents that there are no situations where parents are good, but the children, and they train their children well, but the children decide to go their own way. I am picking from this point so that we can be able to touch all the sides of the story and make sure if there are lapses in parenting in any family, this should greatly be looked at. There is poor parenting as the first issue I see in this particular story. She got pregnant under the roof of her parents who are pastors. The situation could be that maybe the father was so focused on the ministry that he had less time for the lady in listening to her, understanding what she's going through, and being able to counsel her as a father so she can be able to handle the situations of her life that will not push her to do what she did before getting pregnant. Because we have situations like that. A lot of pastors and people who run great visions and ministries, they end up being so focused on those visions and ministries that they spend less time with their children. So they neglect some of the things, the signs of risk that the children project in one way or the other. They do not even see. Even sometimes it may be very obvious to them, but they do not see it because they are so focused on ministry. So the Proverbs 22 verse 6 says, train up a child in a way he should go, and when he is old, he will not depart from it. So that foundation of parenting is very, very important. I believe that if this foundation was really carefully handled in the life of this lady, she wouldn't have gone that way. Anyway, we have situations where parents are very good. They have time for their children. They say all they can to those children. But there are times that the children decide to shun all the advice their parents give and do what they want. In this case, the lady will be responsible for her situation. Okay, the next thing I would like us to look at is the wrong response to the problem. It was already a problem. She already got pregnant. Sending her out of the house again, to me, wasn't the best solution to the problem, because it was already a problem and it needed a solution and not another exposure to situations that can further impound the problem. Being sent out of the house in that state, and looking at the fact that she wasn't even mature enough or strong enough to keep herself from getting pregnant, you are now sending her out of the house in that state of immaturity. And in that state, what do you expect her to do? She thought of the only option of going back to the boy. Now she is there, she has already put to bed, and the boy is not ready to the boy is not paying the bride price. She doesn't want to be there because she's not married to the boy. She's not married to the boy. The fact that she's pregnant for the boy doesn't mean the boy automatically needs or accepts her for a wife. And if it doesn't happen like that, or if he doesn't see it like that, definitely the destiny of the girl is still bleak, though under the roof of the guy. So I think the approach the parents took wasn't really the best solution. It wasn't really the best solution. On the other side, to me, even if the parents of this lady, or if your parents send you out of the house because you've brought them disgrace, you've behaved in a way that they do not want, instead of going back to live with the boy, why didn't you locate an aunt or maybe a relative somewhere who could understand you at that moment? There will always be someone in your family circle who will be able to listen to you and understand your situation and find a way of fixing it. The first thing you did was to leave your parents and go back to that boy. This I find as an indication of pride, like you thought that, okay, in this situation, I will prove to them that I can go back to this same boy and I'm going to have a beautiful life there. That was a very big mistake, going to the boy's house. That was a very, very big mistake on the part of the lady. So I advise that if you are presently going through such a situation, even if your parents send you out of the house, do not go to the boy's place. The fact that you are pregnant for the boy doesn't mean he accepts you for his wife. So you need to locate a relative. Go to someone who is a relative or a friend. Or you can go to someone in your church circle whom you know can listen to you, understand you, and help you out of that situation. Go to that person instead of going to the boys home, so you avoid the situation of having to move out of the house again in the name of he is not paying my bride price. How sure are you he is even ready to make you his wife anytime in the future or anytime soon? Okay, the next thing I would like us to look at is she has recognized herself and changed and returned back to her parents. Just like the prodigal son, he did wrong. He knew that he messed up big time. So he realized that, okay, I did wrong, I messed up, and I think I need to go back to my parents and make amends. When the prodigal son went back, what did the father do? He embraced the prodigal son in all his error, in all his mess. They cleaned him up and they celebrated. He was so happy that the prodigal son came back alive and not dead. Just like I said, there is hope for a living dog than a dead lion. At least this lady went back to her parents alive. So daddy and mommy, I don't think bringing her more stress, putting her under more pressure by not receiving her child is a solution or even a good example to her. At least she has recognized she's wrong and she has come back to you, and you already know that child is a part of her life. Why not accept the child? If you can accept her, you should be able to accept that child. I think instead of rejecting the child, you accept the child, you love the child. It's not the child's fault. Even if the child is not born by your own daughter, a child on the street still deserves to be well treated and to be loved by all parents they come across. So why punish that innocent child for the sins of her mother? And even if the mother sins, she has come back and said, I am sorry, daddy, I'm sorry, mommy. So it is the place of the father to show the example of a forgiving person or of forgiveness by forgiving her and truly accepting her and the baby. In that case, it will be easier for you to put your heads together, mother, father, and daughter this time around, to see how you get the boy who got her pregnant to be responsible for the child. That way, things will begin to move smoothly, and before you know it, everything will just be so fine. So you can look out for the story of the prodigal son in Luke chapter 15, from verse 11 upward. You can read that out in your private time. Okay, we also have the situation of the fact that they have received her, but the father, a pastor, doesn't want to see her child. Is this even right? For you, a pastor, to reject a baby born by your daughter, you receive your daughter and you reject that baby, it is a bad sign. The father, who is a pastor, needs to also work on himself. He needs to work on his ability to forgive and forget. He needs to work on that aspect seriously. Even your love for humanity should make you receive children on the streets who are not your biological children, who are not even your blood. So why not embrace this child? Why not take this child? Why not make it life easier for this your daughter by accepting the child and taking care of the child? Even if you do not want to take care of the child, accept the child, love the child, and then you can handle the boy later on and see how he becomes responsible for the child. In the story, we've seen that the lady in question said, it is not like the boy doesn't want to take responsibility for the child. He has been taking care of them for 2 years. And now the only situation is that she has moved back to her father's house because she expects that this boy should pay her bride price. She wants everything to be done rightly this time. So it is not like the boy now is irresponsible. So it is possible that you could take the child and your daughter and this child, and you still work your minds together and make sure this boy becomes responsible for them, even though they are under your roof and under your guidance, so that your daughter's life and destiny will not be sold because she got pregnant for a boy. What if you push her and you force her to go back and she stays there, and the right thing is never done for her to be rightfully married to the boy? They treat her anyhow, and maybe one day violence comes in and she gets to lose her own very life. What will you do as a father in that kind of a situation? And the child's father is busy, not irresponsible. So we must be able to note that if we are taking from the story of the lady, the story the lady presented to us, you realize that the child's father is just busy and not irresponsible. So if the child's father is just busy and not irresponsible, another thing that could be done is this time the lady could leave the house, not in anger, not having any conflict with her parents, but she chooses to make this guy responsible by making him rent a house for her and the child, for them to live there while she is working hard to build her own life and make sure she takes care of her child, even without help from anyone. The boy should be able to take responsibility for the baby. While he is doing so, I don't know how the relationship is, whether the guy has any plans of getting married to her in future or not. Those things will be determined as the years go by and under the guidance and advice of the parents this time and other people who are mature enough to advise her through life, just like we are doing on Ablaze TV today. So you need to think about this story on all the sides. Ask these questions that have been asked to you by different people giving in their contributions, and by those I've asked you from my own opinion. Answer those questions and make sure you take to the advice that has been given to you. What should you do? I think that one of the things you can do is to stay with your parents since you've decided to go back to them. Stay with your parents, and like Akubai said, go into prayers. The heart of the kings is always in the hand of God. He can tweak it to any direction to be able to favor you if you are genuinely sorry and if you genuinely change. God is powerful enough to change the heart of your father and to turn the heart of that father towards your child, for him to be able to love both you and the child. So you should go back to God and ask him to show you a way forward in this situation. Ask him to touch the heart of your father to be able to accept both you and the child. You can also go through your mother. You know, mothers have a way, wives have a way they get to the hearts of their husbands, right? So you can go through your mother, you can plead with your mother, you can talk to her to be the one to plead on your behalf. Talk with your father to understand your situation and be able to accept your child. But if it persists and it shows that there is no possibility for the house to be in peace because of your baby there, then you should consider taking the option Madonna Siali gave by you getting the guy rent a house for you and your child, or you live there, work very hard and have money enough to rent a house for you and your baby, and you are able to take care of your child and pick back your life to build it afresh. Do not force yourself on the boy, because if you force yourself on him simply because you have a child with him, you might end up in doom. Do not force yourself on him if he truly loves you, and not just because he has a baby with you or pities you because he has a baby with you. He will work out everything and he will pay your bride price. Everything will go normally and you have a perfect marriage. But if you try to force yourself on him, or you become too desperate because you know you already have a child on him, or you think in your mind that just because you have a child with him, he is your husband, you will get married to the wrong person, and you know what that means. So do not force yourself on him, or do not force to get married to him because you have a child with him. Make sure you know what you are doing. You could still have a child with someone and you finally get married to another person who is God's will for you, and you have the best life thereafter. Always make sure you are in the will of God. What is it God wants for you? Is that pleasing in the sight of God? Is that decision the right thing God expects you to do in such a situation? If not, do not go for it. But if it is the right thing, then you have to do just the right thing. Just the fact that you have that baby is not the end of your life, or you made that mistake, it's not the end of your life. I know of a lady just of recent, she has 6 kids. I mean 6. And after all the years when she had concluded on herself and thought that maybe she will never get married, she has 6 kids out of wedlock, meaning that she has these 6 kids with 6 different men. But she is getting married. They have already done the court. It's just remaining the blessing. Why? She picked her hope again. She revived her hope, and she decided that, okay, yes, I know I've been a mess all these years, but I'm making sure that I make things right for myself. I make my life right. And that's why she is having a husband now who loves her and loves the kids that she has. So you have just one. It's not the end of the world, my sister. It's not the end of the world. If this man is truly not ready to marry you, do not force it. But if he loves you and wants to marry you, find out whether it is because he doesn't have money enough to pay your bride price now, or he has plans of doing so in future. If he has that, then patiently wait for that time, or work that out with him, and in prayers, it is going to be done. And for the parents, please do not send her off again. Do not reject the child, because rejecting the child means you are rejecting your daughter, even though you say you've received her. If you've received her, then you should be able to accept her child as well, because the child is already a part of her life. And Daddy, please, you are pastor. Teach us forgiveness by forgiving your child for real and accepting her child. If you want things lighter for you, talk to the boy. You people talk to the boy and make sure he's responsible for his child. I think that if we can handle it from all of these angles that we've been able to put across today, the situation is going to be better. I hope you did learn 1 or 2 things from the story of today, and from what the different opinions that we got from Madonna Siali, Akubai, and myself. Please, even after we are done with this 30 minutes, make sure you continue to put up your comments or your opinions in the comment section, because there are many people who will still be visiting the same video to watch and learn how to handle their own situations or similar situations like this. Thank you so much. Thank you for staying with us up to this point. We hope that the next story we'll be looking at will be your own story, will bring a solution to your own life, will make you to smile. See you next time. Hello there, guys. Have you watched Letters to Mama Z on Ablaze TV? If not, like our page and follow us on all social media platforms as Ablaze TV. And if you want to send us your letters, please watch your screens and write us through the contacts you see. Make sure every Thursday, 5 p.m., you are on your screens for Letters to Mama Z.